knowledge makes you great.
It's been 25 years of passionate chasing. Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Tarmac Talking. This is Anand Krishnan here, and with me is Dr Venugopal, who is the Director of Aeronautical Development Establishment in Bengaluru. So he is today's our guest, part of Tarmac Talking's new initiative, trying to get some of the heads of India's aerospace and defense. Welcome, Dr. Venugopal. Great memories for me as a journalist interacting with you. I think in the Hamara Tejas program, I did mention being with you. I can't recall the year, but it was definitely during Putin's visit to India, the Russian president. 2003, when Dr. Kalam was there as the president. And I met you in Delhi, and you were part of the BrahMos team then, right?
Yes.
So let me take you back to your missile days, because predominantly you came from the missile cluster, tremendous work in the missile field. BrahMos is a huge success now, perhaps one of the most successful missile programs in the world. You joined DRDO in 1986.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I'm also aware of the fact that you were fortunate enough to report to Dr. Kalam. So could you take us back to all those moments in your life?
I joined DRDO in December 1986 after finishing my fellowship program those days, which was launched for the integrated guided missiles development. And Dr. Kalam was at the helm of affairs. He was the director of DRDL. So obviously, after the program, I reported to him.
First day with Kalam?
Well, in those days, after you joined the office, it was very important that you meet the director, Dr. Kalam. And he used to really take very detailed interview of you. He used to find out what kind of background and what is the project you have done. You have to show him that in all his busy, I would say, the work what he was doing with all 5 programs together, he still had found the time to talk to the youngster as he's inducted, find out what he's interested in. So I remember, meeting Dr. Kalam for my first time. He was already a very famous person, being the project director for the SLV. So he went through my interview and asked me what you would like to do. Either you have to be in aerodynamics or propulsion, you have to choose. And one more thing I wanted to say, he was technical, at the same time he was a very excellent administrator. So by looking at you, he used to look through, you feel that and you're passing through an X-ray.
Yes.
So that's kind of a, eyes he had. He used to X-ray you completely and know your capabilities.
When you talk this, I am reminded of how one man has influenced generations of scientists. And today at the helm of affairs, it is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So he did then whatever little bit of homework I did. If there are any mistakes, kindly correct.
Yeah.
He did then depute you to NAL,
Yeah, that's
Bengaluru.
Right. That's right.
For the missile, what was it? The
Missile Aerodynamic Code.
So what does it mean, Missile Aerodynamic Code?
I'll tell you. Because when the IGMDP program started, at that time, the first most important thing what you have to do is to get a good configuration, an aerodynamic configuration. We did not have the tools to do that. Computers were just their mainframes. So at that time, as I know, he had approached a company called Nielsen Engineering and Research for the aerodynamic configuration design code. In those days, it used to be called Missile 1 and Missile 2. Of course, it was not available, not given. So he had already made up his mind that we have to, these are the basic building block technologies, we have to develop them. So he had already made up his mind. So he told me, okay, you chosen aerodynamics because I had done my thesis in aerodynamics. So he said that, yes, then I have one job for you. It's all planned. You have to go to National Aerospace Laboratory, Bangalore, and this is the assignment for you. So that's how I, soon after I joined, maybe a few months, I was in the IGMDP, I was introduced. 6 to 8 months later on, I came to.
Perhaps, is that your first successful mission? Even it also earned some foreign exchange for India. It was even sold, isn't it? That particular.
So it took about 4 years for us to develop this code. And a lot of database, all these things were generated, code was developed. We had very experienced scientists in NAL in those days, people who have worked in Lockheed Martin and others. So they had come to join NAL. So we did that code, and finally we could even export it to Defense Science Organization Singapore. That was in 1993.
Any underwater systems which the armed forces use, especially the Navy, not much is talked about, and especially when you talk about 90s period, it's all top secret, classified,
Yes.
In my initial years in journalism, everything was,
Yeah.
So you also worked for to developing some of the systems for the underwater programs, right? Yeah. So what are those?
After I finished this thing, I was back in DRDL, and already DRDL, we were going beyond the IGMDP programs, they were all going on. Dr. Kalam taken up major programs. One of them was the underwater. Those days it used to be very secret. So that was the time when I worked in these programs in my field of aerodynamics, aerostructures, and I had the opportunity at that time to interact with some of the best of Russian scientists. They were our consultants. Subsequently, the same consultants, the same company, we had the joint venture BrahMos.
BrahMos, a lot of people know you as an Astra man. You have been the rescue man for, can I call you the rescue man? Because when I was mapping your, whatever was available, every time you were sent into difficult missions, either to resurrect a program, save a program, or to give life to a program. And so if you, in the last 35 years, there are many, including your assignment here in ADE. So BrahMos, you had multiple roles initially. You played the role of a system, what is that? System
designer.
System designer. Then you had another role in terms of its airframe. Then you were heading integration. How much of learning, how much of exposure did BrahMos program give you?
I would say that I truly learned aerodynamics, and configuration design in NAL, and system design in BrahMos. So it was a great learning and working with some of the top scientists of the world. For that matter, the company which is our partner in BrahMos is NPO Machinos, and they are the people who make the Proton rocket.
Yes.
The first prototype of the Mir space station, re-entry of Gagarin. So that they had a huge, repository of technology and people, real technology. Yes. So probably Dr. Kalam also had this in mind that these kind of things should come through some joint venture to India, and that is the real benefit in addition to what we have, the system. So I had the opportunity to work with such people, and that really helped me to evolve.
And then the air version.
Yes.
Were you the first project director for that?
Yeah. After I have completed my, basic assignments, like I was the deputy project director, airframe, bringing all the technologies, interacting with industries, understanding Indian industries for that matter. Then I was also the head of the integration. And we did a couple of missiles, about 5 or 6 missiles were integrated during my time, 2005, up to 2005. Then I got this assignment to be the project director of the BrahMos air version. And so I can say that the initial planning of the BrahMos air version, how to integrate it with the Sukhoi 30. We had the challenge of making one of the biggest, largest air launcher for a fighter to carry this 2.5 ton.
The indigenous air launcher.
And it was indigenously designed.
Trivandrum.
Yes, manufactured in Trivandrum. And interestingly, we took a decision that we will integrate it without the OEM support. So it's a multi-organizational, task. So all those things were achieved, and the results are there for us.
And,
to see. And yeah.
Then also took you to Trivandrum to BATL, BrahMos Aerospace.
Yeah,
Trivandrum.
that just happened to be a incidental thing. I will tell you what really happened. When I was doing this, I was the project director for the air version. Keltec, a state PSU in Kerala, that was in trouble. And how to revive it, because it's a very core technological company.
And doing a lot of work for ISRO.
A lot of work. In fact, the Vikas engine, which is a workhorse engine for both
PSLV,
GSLV. So this engine is also manufactured both at Godrej and here in BATL. So we could not leave it like that, strategic company. So BrahMos was asked to take over this company and run it.
The BrahMos story is so inspiring because even during this Aero India had interacted with the entire BrahMos team, youngsters, whole bunch of people who have really played different role, and you in the initial days and your story, because not many people know outside perhaps the kind of role you played for BrahMos, the kind of challenges you had. In fact, air version, everybody knows that the Sukhoi fired the air version missile, it is integrated, but the behind scene activities, it was a huge technological challenges to fit such a heavy missile.
One of the heaviest missiles in the world.
Yes,
to be fitted on a fighter.
And that launcher itself, I was at BATL, I saw the launcher. And again, after all this, Astra. From BATL it was Astra?
No. I had a deputation of 3 years, and subsequently I had to come back to my parent organization. DRDL. Then I can just tell you a small, briefly tell you the story. Astra, the first India's beyond visual range air-to-air missile, was envisaged somewhere in 1994 onwards. And Dr. Kalam at that time said that yes, we should start on this work. He took a small seed money from Dr. Kota LCA.
Okay.
That's how it started. So this is, they started doing, the systems engineering, system studies and all that. And it got sanctioned in 2004. So by 2011, still there were some issues, problems. It was not taking off.
You lost some hair being part of Astra. I am aware.
Natural of aging part, I suppose. Part of aging. But this is what happened. And Dr. Saraswat, he told me now that you have done enough in this BrahMos and all that. You take up an indigenous system. Literally, he didn't give me choice, didn't negotiate with me. He just said, now you have to take Astra.
At gunpoint.
Literally at gunpoint.
Like Saraswat being Dr. Saraswat.
So he told me, you do it. Little reluctantly, I took up this assignment in 2011, September 2011.
Close to 8 years in Astra, and lot of turbulences in that program, and eventually you managed successfully to bring Astra out of the turbulent weather, and then the next version. What were the Astra days? And how important is for India strategically to develop a BVR missile? Close to 8 years in Astra. Very technological challenge. I chased you enough and you gave me nothing. Why did you do that? All right.
Everything at the right time.
Everything at the right time. You know, that is one lesson I learned being with Kalam, Kota, and Venus, and many others.
Yes. So, as I was telling you, when I took up this assignment, one of the major thing what we have done, the decision we took, and we analyzed all the issues, the previous experience what we had, and we found that we were always experimenting by not changing the configuration, tweaking a little bit here, little bit there, but that was not really going to work for a very highly agile air launch system. So, we took the decision to completely re-engineer the missile.
But till then, we had lost some time.
We lost time, but well, we also gained certain things like many of the LRUs, onboard LRUs, you know, airworthy LRUs, they were all available. And we had rocket motors and we had, you know, the launcher. We decided now to completely re-engineer the missile. So, that was first thing what we, decision taken. What are the other LRUs and other systems available, use, or if something newly has to be done, it was done. We also had the company called Agath, which was doing the seeker for us. And again, I want to tell you the history behind it. This seeker was one of the major requirements for making, you know, tactical missiles within the DRDO. And Dr. Kalam, very long time back, 95 I believe, onwards he has been interacting with this MRI Agath, which is in Zhukovsky, Moscow, Russia. And there is a very famous scientist by the name of Akopian. Dr. Kalam and Akopian were friends.
Very close friends.
So, this, how to get this, the contract, all those things happened in the Astra project. And they were developing that, it took almost 5 years. To my good luck, this seeker was also getting ready for deployment to use in the missile. So, we quickly re-engineered this thing, did a lot of studies, and I had a very young team, very young team. But they needed somebody with some experience like me, who, you know, have gone through the fire in BrahMos. So, just within 15 months, we were able to demonstrate 3 successful launches, one even against the Lakshya target. AD gave me the Lakshya target. That is how it happened. So, well, after doing this, we took an important decision that we will not do any more tests from ground. Okay. Everything should be from air. The Air Force was, you know, more than happy now to support us. They supported us like nobody's business. And within 5 months, we had the missile integrated on the Sukhoi 30, and we did what is called a captive flight trial. And then in December, we did one more extended captive flight trial. And just imagine, within another 12 to 14 months, we launched the missile, first India's beyond visual range air-to-air missile from off Goa on 4th May 2014.
And then, of course, you know, it is.
And of course, we had a series of trials, and I think we have almost completed 40 trials. And we finally, the thing is that in one of the trials, we engaged a target which is a Banshee, you know, 2 meter by 2 meter kind of thing, at 87 kilometers and had a direct hit. So, the question what you asked, what is the strategic relevance of Astra? Any aircraft is as good as the weapon it carries. Of course, it has agility and all that, but you must have the best weapons on these aircrafts. And for Su-30, which can carry so much of weapons, weapon like Astra and variants what is going to happen is simply a great advantage, air superiority advantage over any adversary. And today I will say that Astra is one of the best missile systems comparable with any in the country, in the world.
So you talked about the variants.
Yes.
So where are we now?
As far as the Astra Mark II is concerned, which will be about 160 kilometers of launch range, very high again. That will happen in 2022.
And eventually it will come to Tejas Mark II.
Yes, of course.
So they'll see a Mark
Yes,
II.
yes, it will.
And
also we have the Astra Mark III.
Okay.
Yes.
That is the next.
That will be as very, very long range.
So when will we see the first Astra being fired from a Tejas Mark I?
Very soon.
Very soon. All right. So very soon.
Very soon.
So from Astra, success, another project to put to good shape. You took up this assignment to come to Bangalore.
Yes.
And this was in 2019?
19 May.
19 May, all right.
First May.
First, okay. And, you virtually followed, before that, Tessie ma'am came as the DG here, another, from missiles. So this is all new things in DRDO, like missile scientists now taking charge of other things. You were ready to come to ADE, or you were, wanting more missile challenges?
Dr. Satish Reddy is the person instrumental in me coming to ADE. He asked me, now that things are moving, direction is all right, why don't you take up ADE, director of ADE? And in my opinion, you are the right guy and you are going to like the job. After a little bit of thought, and Dr. Tessie Thomas, I know her, she was my classmate. So I felt that it will be a right time, towards the end of my career, take up something new, more challenging, and I can do some contribution in ADE also. So after a month or so, I decided, okay, I said yes to him and I came. That's how it happened.
ADE 2019.
Yeah.
And several programs in different phases, like any other DRDO lab, programs that has got mixed, I would say success, then eventually getting onto a different mode. So when you took over here, you had Rustom into different zones, you had the Nirbhay, which has got. So these are all programs that are coming up. So naturally there will be some challenges. So what were your key initiatives you focused? What were your initial challenges here?
See, when I came to ADE, like I have done my assessment at BrahMos Trivandrum, or my experience at DRDL. First, I tried to learn the structure of this laboratory. So I believe that you can achieve anything if you are structured properly. I mean, the organizational structure, how we interact. So one of the things, major things, what I took, that happened within a few months, September, could interact with the entire AD team, scientists, technicians, other things, understood what's happening with the various projects, and we restructured AD. There was no concept like in DRDL. AD is a systems laboratory. There was no concept of technology directorates and multitasking by putting programs of the similar type together. One of the major initiatives what we did was the restructuring of the AD laboratory.
I just want to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
You very easily said restructuring.
Yeah.
As far as I have, whatever little bit I've seen, is it so easy to touch systems that are there over the years?
See, where there's a will, and when you are clear, when you discuss with our team, I think it is not myself alone. It is together. We said that this is how it should be built. So there was no resistance.
Right.
There was some apprehensions and some doubts and all that, but there was no resistance.
There are many labs. I'm not particularly getting into DRDO, but there are labs which I have seen as a journalist. The issue comes at the leadership level is, people don't want their comfort zones to be touched. People don't want their systems to be pointed at. And there are, because of that, many projects that are suffering. There are, because of that, many labs that are at standstill. I'm not naming anyone. Have you also experienced this, something like that?
Well, when I came to AD, after my assessment, one very important observation I have made is that AD is a systems laboratory, and the scientists of AD are top-notch scientists. I'm not saying it for the interview, really top-notch scientists, and their systems are of much higher standards, even maybe better than the missile cluster, because they are handling aircraft systems, and the level of standards what they apply, the processes they apply, they are very good. But it was only in 2011 that AD had a mission mode project, and I would say they did not have the blessings to have a leader like Dr. Kalam. So I won't say that they got in very late. Maybe the UAVs and other things are late entries. In those days, missiles were required. But let's understand one thing. AD is the center of excellence for flight control systems, and AD gave birth to many laboratories. If you know the DARE is come out of AD. The CABS, it has come out of AD. So many labs, everything, it came out of AD. So it is a very important lab, and it's played a national role even then. But it didn't have its own program. The own program, which is what we call the Tapas, a mission mode program, came only in 2011. So that little bit of lack of experience or whatever, how to go about running a big program, that is where I came in, and we tried to bridge the gap, configuration designs, and how the whole laboratory should work for our program. That we introduced by this restructuring.
Brilliant. Tapas, you talked about
Tapas, many other programs for that.
So now let's get into the projects quickly, one by one. Yeah. Tapas, what's the status? What's the status update?
Tapas, by the end of this year, we will demonstrate full QRs of Tapas up to 30,000 feet, and endurance will be slightly less. Doesn't matter, about 18 hours of endurance. That is assured. We have all the systems in place, and we are going to do that.
The demand is for 24 hours. What's the endurance they want?
It is just a QR. It doesn't, as a line drawn, doesn't mean that if you are in this line, you are a loser or something like that. But 18 hours is a very good this thing. And we have alternate plan to go up to 24 and meet the complete QR.
Absolutely, okay.
Yeah, so that is not.
So recently,
this year we will do that.
So recently the SATCOM thing we had,
yes,
there was a press release.
That's very important activity.
A lot of people are not realizing the significance of it, because our own system.
Yes, we carried out the auto takeoff was done much last year itself, but auto landing we did with Tapas using the Gagan satellite systems, our indigenous, and this is the first time that Gagan satellite system used for navigation and auto landing in the country. So this is a major technology, one of the technologies for UAVs. So that has been achieved. And as far as the configuration is concerned, it has been made lighter, much lighter. That's why you are going to get both the altitude and endurance.
Interesting. So after all the turbulences Tapas had, it is progressing, that's what you're saying. What about Archer?
Well, this Archer is nothing but the earlier Rustom 1 UAV. So right in 2011 itself, we got the idea that this is a wonderful UAV for short ranges and lesser time missions. A very easy, small system, and it can also be enhanced. Its capabilities can be enhanced by arming it, by putting some missile systems is already developed at DRDO. So, that is Archer. And the beauty is that the avionics of Tapas and Archer are identical.
Okay.
The same LRUs are used and the ground stations therefore becomes the same. It is only the software which changes. So, you just put a new switch, press a new switch and you can switch over to. So, basically maintenance, logistics, all this is come down and you can operate both these systems together in a single squadron.
All right.
And I can also say one more thing very important here. In the recent war between Azerbaijan and Armenia, there was a drone, Turkish drone called Bayraktar, which was used, and the Azerbaijanis simply won the war in a few days. They got decimated by these drones, their tanks and other guns, etc., and they surrendered. So, after that the Bayraktar became very popular, famous. But if you see the specification of the Bayraktar, it is a 6 meter span, 750 kgs weight, 20 to 25,000 altitude of operation, 12 hours.
So, archery is something which we have to look out for. Nirbhay, it had its own share of success and failures. Then you moved on to ITCM, right? It also had, with the Desi engine, and eventually those technologies proven will move on to LRLACM, right? Yeah. ITCM, where does it stand now?
Nirbhay was again a technology demonstration project where we had 6 trials to prove a cruise missile, and it was completed with the final sea scheming at 20 meters and 5 meters. So, after demonstrating this technology, we felt that we must have a program for indigenization of our small turbofan engine, and that is what ITCM is. So, we just had 2 trials of that and it was partially successful. The second one of course was partially successful. We could fly about 150 kilometers, but these kind of systems, they need some more trials. There were certain technical issues, we will be overcoming that. Next 2 more trials should do the job, and after that we will have our indigenous engine also. Presently the Russian engine is used. And as far as LRLACM is concerned, it is a mission mode project, and we will be doing that with the users and with a development cum production partner. So, that is the new trend and a new formulae for all our programs, and that will go, that is Nirbhay. And when ITCM happens successfully, we will have the engine too.
With the STFE?
With?
The STFE.
With the STFE, with our own turbofan engine.
Recently there were a lot of noise on the social media about your unmanned program. SWiFT is there. What is next?
SWiFT, okay. I think you must have seen that video.
I did, yeah.
Well, as you can see, non-contact warfare drones are going to be used in the future scenario in war. All sorts of systems will be there, different sizes, shapes and all that. And the world, as you know, many advanced countries are developing this. We cannot be left behind. So, we have a program for developing such systems, stealthy weapon. And what you saw in the video is the SWiFT. which is a scaled down version of that system. And we have done the high speed taxiing, etc. Maybe December or maybe the early 2022, we would be taking off the SWiFT.
So once SWiFT achieves whatever it needs to do, what next?
Well,
we are anyway, India is going for an uncount.
As far as AD is concerned, we are supporting manned fighters programs for the very critical technology, which is the flight control system. And the software, the algorithms, flight safety, flight critical algorithms. And we have done the dual redundant systems. So for UAVs and all that, you don't have to go that far. It can be just a, duplex systems. So we have all technologies, but when we do a large system like stealth system, flying wing, we cannot go directly jump into the bigger one. So once you have done the flight of a bird like SWiFT, and you can do a auto takeoff and landing of that, literally we have closed the loop.
Okay, so
you can do anything.
Not much you talked about stealth because when I was covering AMCA, we did write about it a couple of years back, and a lot of institutions are working on it. But perhaps we can't talk much about it in a public forum. But are we in the right direction in terms of mastering the stealth technology? I understand even academics are involved. And
stealth is by shape, and it is known how it is
stealth
done.
Materials, I mean.
Yes. Because most of these systems are, composite materials, carbon composite materials. So it has a certain amount of stealth built in that material. And in addition to that, we have the shape, which gives you the major stealth. And radar absorbing materials are available. And AD is developing these kind of technologies. In fact, we are experimenting with that. And I am sure that we will be self-sufficient in this technology.
Because we have covered Hamara Tejas in detail, I'm not much asking you questions of Tejas, FCS, the dome facility and many other things but still, as a director, Tejas, different programs are very, very critical for this lab. Again, a lot of things you have put in place. It is a program for the future because all the new variants. Yes. No concerns there?
No, there are no concerns. From our side, AD side, there are no concerns. All within control.
Whether it is the software to the everything.
Not at all.
Everything.
There will be a lot of common systems also, so there are no concerns.
So in short, Dr. Venu, if you really look deep into this lab, it is spreading wings in different areas in big way. There are a lot of youngsters who are coming and taking charge. There are a lot of seniors who are hand-holding them.
Yes.
Things are in place? Or there are some areas which you feel that needs?
Since you brought up this thing, and it will not be fair on my part to give you a diplomatic answer, very important for nation is that having acquired technologies, we should have within such laboratories. Private sector cannot do all these things, and neither can they import these technologies through what you call the strategic partnership. It will never happen, never. So the most important thing for nation and policy planners should definitely look into that is to have a minimum threshold level of manpower recruitment done for the DRDO. Okay. That's one important thing. Second thing is, now programs are going to be smaller, shorter times, because we have a lot of technology. We don't have to develop these things now. It's only making a system. And if you want to do that very fast, then the only way to do that is that one, the the people who will operate, the users, all the tri-services, they should be embedded in DRDO laboratories in a big way. And then the manufacturing, the production processes, all that cannot be started after you have done the project.
Yeah,
So the private sector should be embedded in the DRDO lab as a development cum production partner. We have such excellent industries in India which are being harnessed by foreign countries, but we are not harnessing them. So that is what we should do. If we embed them in our laboratories, users, of course, they are ready now. They will come and maintain the threshold level of DRDO strength, you will get the products.
Did you put across this idea to your bosses?
Of course, it is being discussed, and it is. I have put these ideas.
So one day we will get to see that your idea taking wing?
Definitely. There's no other way.
Okay, so since it is team we are talking, I understand you have lined up your team members in AD.
Yes.
So are we going to see all the key players?
Yes, definitely. I would not be doing justice if I don't introduce my team members to you. And it's a very large organization, AD, more than 1,000 people. But I will introduce you to my senior people who are the program directors, technology directors, group directors, all of them.
Absolutely. So before going to meet the team, you have strong Andaman connections.
Yeah.
So which I did not know. So you virtually grew up there, and so what is that Andaman connection?
I was born in Andaman.
Okay, because your parents were.
My father, went to Port Blair.
Okay.
In 1954.
Okay.
Maybe 7 years after independence. So he was in the forest department. My mother was also in the forest department. Both of them were clerks in that department, and we had a very humble, simple life there. So I lived in such a wonderful, isolated area. It is just by the blessing of God, I can say, and a little bit of destiny that I happened to join maybe DRDO with the IGMDP and rub shoulders with such great people like Dr. Kalam. And today I have come to a stage where I am the director. I have done these programs and projects. So that is what I would say about myself. Yes.
What are the other things apart from missiles and unmanned systems and other things? What does Dr. Venugopal do when he's at home on a Sunday? Or on Sundays also do you come to office? What I want to know is that your other side of Venugopal.
Personally, I'm a workaholic, I would say. But if I get time, what I do is, I have a daughter and I like to drive. So I always take my wife and daughter out for outings or some long drives. They also like to travel. That is one of the things which I do.
Driving.
I like to meet people, and I'm a little bit of a painter too.
Oh.
These are the ways I spend my time.
All right. So amazing scientist, amazing. When I say amazing, because I keep using this word amazing, because I have tracked this man for almost close to 2 decades. And I was really, really surprised to see the kind of effort in BrahMos in his initial days and then later on. He was invisible for journalists like me, but I'm glad that at least I got this opportunity to ask him some questions I had in mind. Now we will meet his team, and he kept on talking initially right from beginning, team, the kind of team he has built. Some of them you have seen during earlier interviews. So it's always a pleasure to meet these superheroes, these unsung heroes, and these souls who have literally given everything to Tiranga. So let's go and meet the superstars of ADE.
This team, what you are seeing is, the senior members of the UAV vertical what we have in the projects of ADE. Mr. Ashok Rangan, who is the program director for Tapas and for all the UAV programs here.
Okay.
And the project director, Mr. Sarveshwaran, they are all the backbones, Dr. Rajagopal, Vijay Mohan, Kuberappa, and Colonel Sabu Joseph. He was very instrumental in the development of the ATR
I am
at
aware of
Chitradurga.
ATR, yes.
And he is Mr. Manjunath. He is the technology director, and the leader who makes the ground control systems, ground control stations, the ground data terminals, and all the things, so software, all related things. And it's one of the world-class systems what we do.
Absolutely. So this is the UAV team.
Yes.
What is that you want to tell the world, especially to the youngsters, with regard to UAVs that you are now making, UAVs that you are now designing or developing, whatever?
The general conception has been that the UAVs are more for drone delivery and things like that, and some gaming and things like that. But what we do here is military hardened stuff to take forward the country's defenses with an unmanned aircraft. So we have a variety of UAVs in our stable, the biggest being the Tapas, which you see behind you, and then the R1 or the Archer. And we have a target, this thing called the Abhyas, which is also a thing which is used for missile practice and things like that. As far as working in a program to develop an unmanned aerial vehicle is something exciting. It is hard work. It is not something so simple that you can do it, but it gives you a lot of satisfaction and pleasure when you see the bird actually flying there and performing to its designed role. Tomorrow, if somebody comes to me and I have to mentor them to put them into this sort of an environment, their technical background vis-a-vis how they fit into program management and pushing the program. See, ultimately, we have a set of expert designers and things for various systems who are at the back end. But the front end are the people who actually go and push the things and make it happen. So the aptitude for making it happen, if it is there, you're most welcome to join my team.
Absolutely. Just kindly hand it over to Colonel Sabu. I just want to quickly ask him, from Army to DRDO and a lot of things you've done, what is that you want to tell the young fellows who want to come and join you guys tomorrow?
In fact, DRDO is one of the places where all the action is now happening. After having been at Leh and many other places, this is one place where the youngsters can really use their potential to the hilt. In fact, the aeronautical test range which has been developed at Chitradurga, it's probably bigger than the Bengaluru International Airport. The facility of the aeronautical test range which has been created at Chalakare in Chitradurga is one place where all our UAVs can be tested, and this was one requirement which has come up at the right time, very appropriate time, as our Tapas and other UAVs are maturing. And this facility is definitely very useful for all the young scientists and the youngsters who are going to come forward and join the DRDO, which will be very useful for them in their career, in their growth, in the practical aspects, which is very important. Because working in the laboratory, the fruit of it can be only tested when we actually go on ground and see it actually flying.
Absolutely. So ATR, I've been there once. I want to go there again. I went there in the initial stages. So as Colonel Sabu said, it is a great facility. The youngsters who are listening in whichever part of India, plane loads of opportunity here in AD and at ATR. So here comes Venu's next batch of army at ADE. So these are the...
Dr. Anand, this is one of the most important team. I'm only introducing you the senior members who do the onboard avionics, as you know, the quad redundant DFCCs and other all avionics and the flight critical softwares. And you can see here the Sri Shakti here, many more Sri Shaktis are there. I want to introduce Gajendra Khanna, he's from the integration side. Srikala Kumari, well, she's the backbone flight critical software
She's
for LCA.
She's already a superstar, we know
She
her,
has been working for many
years, yes. And so is
Preeti Nainan is the technology director for this directorate. BKP, Balakrishna Prakash, He is the technology director for the onboard avionics. His lieutenant Varsha Agarwal, and we have Veena Dikshit, who is a technologist in actuation systems, sensors for both manned and unmanned system. Santosh, again from the avionics, and Badri Narayan from again onboard system. They are all group directors. And Mukhtar, very important person, because after doing all these things, we need to integrate the system and do a testing, hardware in-loop simulations testing. So Mukhtar here. So this is my team, a small portion of the team what I'm showing.
Small portion. So what you're seeing is glimpses of ADE. There are many more hundreds of people who are not here. So let me ask you to the lady there. You know, when we met last time to now, that is 2 years back, a lot of programs now have taken different shape. What is that you want to tell the youngsters again? Because they are so aware of whatever is happening, you know, in different labs. They are very focused towards aerospace and defense. AD is the right place to come and join?
Yes. The last time we met was we met after the success of the Nirbhay launch. So that integrated a lot of people. Of course, after that, we have a lot of success in terms of Tapas. We are moving into new cruise missiles. We have a lot of programs here, including the LCA. So youngsters, definitely, there's a very good place to work in, those who are watching. Especially I represent the software technologies. So a lot of youngsters are into computer science and software development. And here we make safety critical softwares which make the aircraft fly. So this is a very, very interesting domain. Youngsters, please do take note.
So right from Kalam, from Dr. Kalam's time, I've been covering this. So actually what makes LCA safety critical is a bunch of women.
Yes,
The Nari Shakti is protecting light combat aircraft, right?
This is one of the revelations I had once I joined AD.
Absolutely.
And God bless, with the blessings of God and the kind of software and hardware which is made at AD, we had no incidences.
Yes.
We are flying high.
Yeah, touch wood, no instances. All the youngsters watching in different parts of India, in villages, anywhere, all these people have got very humble background, you know, and they have absolutely devoted to the cause of India. That's why they are superheroes for Tarmac Media House. That's why they are now part of many successful missions.
Well, this is a technology team, which is one of the biggest team headed by Mr. Vasant Shastri, who was earlier the project director for the Nirbhay program. He takes care of the aerodynamics, aerostructure and propulsion for all the systems what we are developing here, his directorate. And I have Mr. Selvaraj, who is the group director for the aerodynamics, and Mr. Hotkar for the hydraulics systems, Srinivas for the aerostructure, and Ravi from the composites technology. And finally, I would say we maintain the highest level of aerospace, aeronautical quality, and this is headed by one of my technology directors, V. Subramaniam.
Nothing to do with thing. How do you remember all these names?
I meet them every day.
If I would have been the AD director, I would have forgotten all the names by now. Technology is a key thing, and you know, technology directorate plays a big role. Someone in some village, could be Jharkhand, or in Gulbarga, or somewhere in Bihar, watching this program, wanting to get into technology big way, whether it is armed forces, DRDO, or any other field, because the opportunities are huge now, or somebody wanting dream to set up some startup in technology. What is the tech advice you want to give them?
Basically, this directorate deals with, as Director Sir has mentioned, complete the aerodynamics, structures, propulsion and manufacturing activities. So any new technologies, what we have different technologies in all our programs. We deal with cruise missiles, we deal with UAVs, we deal with unmanned other Abhyas type of things. There are many new technologies which comes into picture. What we do is we generally publicize, we interact with many academia, and then we give it. Basically, this technology division has the median age of about 38. That is the baseline. So all our youngsters are in this only.
This is the cruise missile team.
Ah, my favorite.
Only the program director and the 3 project directors. So this is Dr. Patrick Kennedy, who is the program director for the cruise missiles. We have a series of projects. Then Mr. Manjunath, who is the project director for the ITCM. She is a project designate for one of our projects, which I will not reveal to you. And another project is Shivappa Vasankar. He also has experience working with me at the BrahMos project.
All right. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, there is.
So this is the team. I am not mentioning the names of these projects.
So, I'm sure after listening to Dr. Venugopal, a lot of people will be now sending me messages, what are the programs, trying to probe all that. So, please remember these are military programs. So, this is not a carnival. So, there are things which we basically can't publicize. So, that respect we need to give, because there could be advisories who will be keen interest. So, let's keep it at that. I like that. I've also realized over the years that everything what you see cannot be reported. So, to Dr. Patrick, we have interacted in the past. Very exciting times, you know, from Nirbhay to ITCM to many, many programs coming. Missile front. Now, ADE is giving good, I would say, competition to the missile complex. You know, because we always used to hear only missile stories from Hyderabad. So, that shift to Bangalore with initial concerns, whatever we had. So, I think ADE has now matured in developing missiles of various, you know, sizes, needs.
Yes, absolutely. So recently we have proven that in Nirbhay program also, flying very low altitudes, proving the anti-ship role of the missile, and we are migrating to the long range, that also in the pipeline, as director pointed out, and other variants also coming up. So that way we have already a tremendous track record proving the configuration, and now we have to put in some more additional technologies like seeker and indigenous engine into the place. Then everything will be in place for the cruise missile. And already the users have shown tremendous interest, both IAF and Indian Navy, towards this. And in the long term, there is a huge responsibility on ADE, and young project directors are there, so to take it forward.
The final team, and we are not supposed to talk loudly about this team. They're part of SWiFT. Most exciting program, maybe. So, Dr. Venugopal, very, very critical team.
Yes.
How much of hard work over the years, much of hard work has gone, everybody is aware. Please introduce your team.
First of all, you said not to be talked loud. But one important point I want to say is that when you come to these kind of programs, it just doesn't happen. It's not a fluke, it's not a mistake. It is a lot of technology, understanding and hard work. It's my pleasure now to introduce Mr. Y. Dilip, who is the program director for these systems.
Yes.
Okay. And he is the project director, Durga Prasad, for the SWiFT project, and he is also working in the same technologies and the IT department. He is the group director for the IT.
His name
is Shashikant, and you already met Mr. Chandrasekhar. Of course, he has a major role to play because complete simulation has to be done before we do the flying. So his team is working on that.
All right, so let me just ask you, sir, whatever projects that you're working now, a lot of artificial intelligence plays a role, AI plays a big role here?
Yeah, very much.
So the young fellows watching, how significant or how important AI has become huge way in military programs now? You can talk about that, right? AI? Yes.
Yeah, it is.
AI in general, yeah.
Yeah, AI in general, actually these days artificial intelligence is there in any technologies, any project, especially in the defense technologies, wherein we are talking of the unmanned aircrafts communicating between each other and flying in a swarm mode. So it is all these days crucial technologies, especially the youngsters, are required to work in these kind of fields. That is the call of the day.
Absolutely, that is the call of the day. So we have to wind up this show. It was, a tarmac talking with the director of ADE, but it was also important, he said, what is a director without the team? So that is why this was something which was, not part of the script, but we wanted to tell the world, show the youngsters especially the kind of people part of it, because, superheroes, there are many more behind. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Dr. Venugopal and this glimpse of some of the superheroes of ADE. I really enjoyed talking this because a lot of people think that, my favorite subject is Tejas, but actually if you ask me as a journalist, if you ask me, I love missiles. I'm huge mad fan of India's missile programs. I'm so happy that, next to my house is ADE and there are a lot of missile programs happening there. We will see perhaps later all these heroes in different, more heroes from ADE. Please do remember to subscribe to this channel and please do remember to tell others. Again, Dr. Kota has always told me and Dr. Kalam always told, keep the young fellows on your radar. That should be your journalistic mantra. And I have now taken that as a tapasya to focus on youngsters. Difficult times, please do keep helping others in whichever form you can. Stay away from the noise of social media. Use social media to your needs and let social media not use you. Time is God, worship. Books, Dr. Kota keeps telling, read a lot of books. If you can get their stories, listen to them, opportunities. Stay safe, stay inspired, and as always, Tiranga close to your heart. Thank you. Jai Hind.